angel babies, it's BB. I am here today for a VR2K at Amidst the Gray with their Coffee House Decks tag. It's been very popular. I've been wanting to do it for a long time, and today's the day, apparently. So I have my cold coffee and I have my notes, and let's get into it. I don't have a lot of notes about or personal anecdotes about coffee. I wasn't a big coffee drinker until a couple of years ago, and I still prefer espresso, but espresso is very strong for me, so I like a latte, or maybe I'll make an Americano and I'll add a little bit of oat milk into it and maybe some creamer. So I'm definitely not a coffee connoisseur, but the smell, the aroma, the memories, the people I associate it with, especially in the morning, on a cold day, definitely gives me the feels. And an iced latte is definitely more my speed, but it tends to give me anxiety too. So I really love all the personal stories and the extra research that people have done on coffee, but I think that these prompts are really great on their own, and they kind of stand for themselves. I don't think they need a lot of frills. So if it seems pretty straightforward, that's why. The first prompt is the Espresso Shot, and it's described as strong, punchy, and to the point. So I chose the Gentle Thrills Tarot. You've seen this lady a lot recently on my channel. It's a quick favorite. I haven't had it for very long. I do plan on modding it, but I need to do my research first as far as the best way for me to do that. This is definitely a deck that comes off strong. It's definitely punchy. Not only in the colors, but in the art style. And this deck tells it like it is. This deck is harsh. This deck is, I don't know, not the vibe when you need a hug. And it may be misleading to some because it might look friendly, or it might be right on the money for some where it looks kind of in your face and abrasive. And I mean, it kind of is. It's definitely not for the faint of heart, or for anyone who's really needing a sweet, kind word. It's beautiful though. It's a good one though. It's like truth. It's definitely an air deck when it comes to its messages. Just cut straight to the core of the issue. So that's the Gentle Thrills Tarot, my Espresso Shot. The next prompt is the Drip Coffee. So this is kind of your classic at-home coffee makers, and it's described as simple, accessible, and it gets the job done. My Drip Coffee is the Dame Darcy Mermaid Tarot. I think this is a really accessible deck as far as the imagery. This deck was a gift from a viewer, which is really special and will forever be very special to me. I think that it's an easy deck to read. I like the Rider-Waite-Smith influence, but I like that it has its own spin on it. I really don't enjoy a straight up Rider-Waite-Smith clone, and this doesn't necessarily feel like that. Maybe because we're in the ocean, who knows? But I love my Adamant card. It really does get the job done. I think that the emotions and the actions in this deck are really clear and easy to read. You're getting the message. This is, I want to say the second version, the second edition. So this does have the new cards in them, which I really love. I prefer this edition. I also like the addition of the red in the lettering, which is, I mean, somewhat controversial in some people's opinions. Some people prefer without the red lettering. Some people, I mean, honestly, I think I've only seen people talk about how they prefer the old lettering where it's just black, but I like the red. So the Mermaid Tarot is my drip coffee. Prompt number 3 is the pour over. This is described as needing to take your time, but totally worth it. And I chose the Carnival at the End of the World. This one consists of mainly figures standing alone with not much background, with only a little bit of context, a lot of symbolism. And like the solitary nature of these images makes you have to focus. Like you can't get distracted by the scene or the action. It's kind of just like you really need to sink into the image itself. It's a really, really gorgeous deck, but it definitely isn't something that I can read quickly. It's something that I really need to reflect on. And for now, I need the book for, because I really just want to know in a deeper way, like what all of these mean, where the artist was coming from. Even like the art itself makes me want to slow down, you know? It's like storybook absurdity with like reflection or something. So gorgeous. So that's my pour over, the Carnival at the End of the World. Okay, so now we have the Cafe Latte. It's well received and highly palatable. And I thought about this, and I think that the Ethereal Visions Luna edition is one of the best examples of this in my, oops, sorry, I touched the tripod, in my collection. I think that this version, it does obviously have its criticism, and that is well deserved, but it, in my opinion, is a better version of this deck than the original Ethereal Visions. I love both when it comes to the color palette, but the inclusion here and the art direction, the color really, really shines here. And it's different. Like we see a lot of gold in decks, but we don't always see this silvery purple kind of filter that these have on them. Again, very Rider-Waite-Smith, very familiar. That's why I think it's so palatable. I think the art style is appealing to so many people, like a wide range. Art Nouveau is kind of like the intersection of a lot of aesthetic interests, I think. And like I said, not a perfect deck, but on the whole, something that has a lot of interest and is very pleasing to a lot of people. Next up is the Cappuccino. This is a classic, sophisticated deck, but might be a bit fussy. And I had to choose my Da Vinci Enigma Tarot. I think it's very classic. I think it's incredibly sophisticated, which you know appeals to my sensibilities. It's funny, I'm like, give me punk rock or give me high class. Like nothing in between. Just kidding. But like, maybe there's some truth to that. So this is Da Vinci's sketches mainly and notes. I've said before, I really love the white borders. I love the font. It's very 90s. I dig that. I really like the keywords that the minor arcana have, like trials. I think that's really helpful. But it is fussy. It's something that, like Two of Water, the image itself isn't necessarily going to give you a lot of hits. I mean, it might. Ooh, I just realized what this image is, and I kind of got lost for a second. That's very cool. But yeah, I think that it's very unconventional, right? And that makes it kind of fussy. Like, how is this disappointment? Did it not work? You know? And the book is really interesting too, because it gives you so many different ways to define the cards and divine a message. I'll give you an example. So let's see. We have 4 of fire right here. So there's a quote or a question. It tells you what the sketch is. It tells you a background, the soul code of the card, the upright position, reversed, or the disconnected. Can you see that down there? Yeah. The disconnected message. So that's a lot. And this is a really cool book. Let me see if there's, I can't remember if there are, oh, here's the grid. Oh, the Enigma pattern. That's like if you put all of the backs of the decks together, it looks like this. Or the backs of the cards. I always say decks when I mean cards. It looks like that, which is like cool, I guess. But I would rather that be the back of one card. Like, I don't know. I digress. Maybe they're in the back. Let's see. Okay, yeah, we do have spreads. So I wonder what the disconnected definition is. This book is on my list of things that I need to read front to back. Ooh, Fibonacci. Cool. Anyway, let's get back to the task at hand. So this would be my cappuccino. It kind of feels like a cappuccino too, which I like. Okay, the next prompt is a mocha, which is described as rich, indulgent, and a bit extra. And I just got my hands on this little baby, the La Flora Tarot. There were a few on sale, and so I had been wanting this since it came out. I almost backed it on Kickstarter when it came out, and I think I just didn't have like money in my budget at the time, so I wasn't able to do it. But now it's mine. I don't have the printed guidebook, but I do have the PDF guidebook. But it's gorgeous. I love the way it reads. It's definitely rich and indulgent. It's 100% extra. Like, to be this focused on florals, to not even try to make scenes out of it or actions, for it to be very figureless. And it's like stippled artwork. It has the Italian, not Italian. It has the Latin name on the left, the common name on the right, and then the name of the card on the bottom. And then the guidebook tells you a little bit about the plant itself, and then how to connect the plant's meaning with its divinatory meaning. Just a luscious, wonderful, beautiful deck. So that's my mocha, the La Flora Tarot. Now we have the Cortado, which is described as balanced and objective. And this is an oldie but goodie. This was a Kickstarter, Le Tarot Tricolor. I probably butchered that. I'm not good with accents. I know everyone says that, and like I know I've said it before, so I feel like I don't need to disclaimer it, but it's just so bad and embarrassing that I really do need to disclaimer it. So this is a pip deck. It is very impartial. It is very balanced. It is very objective, and I think that is in the nature of the art itself and the limited color palette. It's a deck that I really love. Very unique, very beautiful. You can use it on anyone. It has like a little bit of Greek or Roman influence. Some of it like feels like World War II propaganda. Some of them. And then, yeah, and then this is like post-Greek. Weird. But still, very impartial, very neutral. Very like just truth-bearing. I could look at this deck all day. It's really cool. I don't think, unfortunately, that it's available now. I don't think I've ever seen anyone talk about it on TarotTube other than myself. I think I've shown this deck once before, and it was in my my collection video when I first started, which I feel like my collection has changed so much, but I feel like it's been too soon. Like, it's too soon to redo them, so maybe I'll do them at the end of this year or something. But this is the Tarot Tricolor, the Tricolor Tarot, or Le Tarot Tricolor. I am still laughing at myself. Okay, our next coffee is Con Panna, and I chose the New Classic Taroki by Mr. Freeborg. This is a deck that puts you in your place with a little bit of sweetness. And I would say this deck looks very sweet, but I don't believe it reads very sweet. It even has this like sense of like seriousness and gravity, with all of the figures having skull faces and like skulls in the pentacles. The color palette is very serene, very sweet, a little bit moody. It's kind of like this perfect mixture. So like the height of, it reminds me of Pirates, right? Like this is kind of like a Pirates of the Caribbean / Marie Antoinette type of deck. And those might not go together, but like, hear me out. So the height of what we consider like pirates and like that type of world and the things we associate with it, like the Baroque stuff, was in the Baroque era. And Marie Antoinette was the Rococo era, which is all this light bows and prettiness. Lots of femininity. The Baroque era was a lot of strong, heavy, rich woods, like old world, you know. There might be scrolling, but it would be thick and robust and made a big impression, not this like delicate, soft type of thing. And I think that this deck does this perfect job of mixing the two styles. Oh, this is so gorgeous, and it's so Pirates of the Caribbean. I just love it. I think this deck is so unique and cool, and I'm so grateful to have it. And it's definitely hard hitting with a little bit of sweetness. It's like don't shoot the messenger kind of deal. So cool. So cool. So this was a recent Kickstarter, and I have the classic one, and then they made one that was an antiqued version, but I just loved the coloring and the clarity in this one. And there are multiple walkthroughs. Let me know if you want me to do a walkthrough, but I know people have made videos on this Kickstarter deck and its partner, the antique one. So that's my Con Panna. Next prompt is the Chai Latte, which is warm, cozy, and nurturing. So this is obviously a spiced tea latte. And I just recently got this deck from Etsy by Bastet Tarot. They just call it the Cat Tarot, but Bastet Tarot is the name of the store on Etsy. And I chose this because not only is the color palette really warm and nurturing, I love that, like, magic. It's like spacey, magic, cozy, I don't know. Not only is the color palette warm and nurturing, but it's cats. Like, how is this not the sweetest, cutest? This is an AI deck, obviously. So if you're not into that kind of thing, but I just think it's so cute and it feels so cozy. Let me know if you've seen this deck and what you think of it. This is a cool deck to be like meditative with too, because there's something about surrealism and like abstract art that makes you like sit and think, or at least like calms you. Or me. When I say this Queen of Coins like gets me. Me. I don't usually associate myself with Queen of Coins, but I do love that card. So the Cat Tarot by Bastet Tarot is my chai latte deck. The next drink is a non-coffee latte. It's a matcha latte, which is a green tea powdered latte, which is delicious. I like mine sweetened a little bit. Definitely earthy. And the description is a bit unconventional and an acquired taste. And I chose, upside down, the Blood Moon Tarot. I think this is an acquired taste because the imagery can be confronting and odd, and it's also unconventional in the sense that every suit is renamed and the meanings of the cards don't always align with a traditional Rider-Waite-Smith meaning. So it takes a little bit of time to adjust to. There's a learning curve. This is a deck that I wish was bigger. I've talked about this before. I do like the borders, but not when the cards are this small. And the other thing is that when I purchased this deck, I didn't get the art book / guidebook that went with it. I got the PDF. And like I said before, like I just don't use it. I don't use, like it's hard for me to have my computer open while I'm reading, and then you have to like scroll. You can't just flip a page. So I feel like I need to purchase the art book. I don't even know if it's still available. I know that it was recently, but I'm not sure if it's sold out or not. But it's a gorgeous deck, and for people who have an interest in this type of art and they aren't afraid of the different suits and kind of having a learning curve, then this deck is for you. This is my Matcha Latte. Now we come to the hot chocolate, and it's described as speaking to a younger version of yourself. And for this, I had to grab the Dreaming Way Tarot. This just really reminds me of kind of Old King Cole, the nursery rhyme. Or if you were of that age group, like the We Sing videos, Old King Cole. There's something in the patterns that remind me, like I've said before in other videos, of like the 90s. But then the figures kind of remind me of the 80s. It reminds me of DePaolo. I think that's his name. The color palette is very comforting. Definitely reminds me of things from my childhood, from the late 80s, early 90s. It feels very familiar in a comforting way. So yeah, this would be like a hot cocoa, a hot chocolate. Reminds me of like TV specials from when I was a kid too, or movies that I would rent from Blockbuster. Does anyone remember like Serendipity? And it was like about this sea monster named Serendipity. It was like a pink Loch Ness monster or something. That doesn't remind me of this, but like, you know, this just evokes memories for me. Okay, our second to last prompt is the Italian Soda, which is a fun, low-key deck that's not overly serious. And I chose my Heroine Tarot. This tarot feels pretty low-key. It's very fun. And it doesn't feel overly serious. It's something that I can pick up when I don't want to have a good cry, you know? When I want to appreciate femininity and aesthetics and positivity and being soft with myself and kind to myself. When I want to restore some inspiration or motivation or hope. I think this is a perfect Italian soda deck. It's so gorgeous. I was on the fence about backing this on Kickstarter for a long time, and I'm so glad that I took the plunge, because I can't imagine not having this deck. Even if I don't reach for it very often, it's just art in your hands, you know? And this is so unique in its way. Here's my Molly Ringwald card. Do not know if she inspired it, but like, how could she not, you know? Anyway, I think that you can still purchase this deck. I'm not sure. It's just wonderful. I love it so much. Okay, lastly, we have our Herbal Tea, which is a deck that takes things down a notch or helps you unwind. And I find that for me, that's the Victorian Romantic Tarot. I tend to use this deck at night. I tend to read with it for myself. And it's a deck that, it's not an energizing deck for me. It's a deck that does kind of wind me down. There's a serenity to these images. I think classic images just make you take pause. The colors are lively and gorgeous and beautiful, but I don't know, I just love using this deck at night. It's a good reflection deck. It's a good, I don't know, self-practice. Love this one. Like, I could pull this before going out too, you know? It's not necessarily like I'm waking up in the morning and I want a burst of energy. It's just like a softness that I love to feel in the evening. So those are all of my prompts, or my responses to Kay's prompts for the coffee house decks. I've been really enjoying watching all of these videos, and I hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know your thoughts on my choices, and let me know what you would pick. I can't wait to see your video. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being curious. Thanks for being my friend. And my mom's coming, I gotta go.